next, most of you will see the Vikings and the Falcons.
I always grew up wanting to go to the NFL. Troy Aikman was my childhood hero, even though I hate the Dallas Cowboys.
A record for Troy Aikman, 5 touchdowns in a single
I was
game.
going to be a professional football player, just like the ones I dressed up as every Halloween. If it was not for football, though, I would have never found the sport that I'm most passionate about and which has brought me here to UGA. My freshman year of high school, my football coach came up to me and asked me what sports I planned on playing during the spring. I responded baseball, nothing else. He just shook his head and said, "You're going to pole vault or you won't play football for the rest of your high school career." Little did I know that was the most impacting moment of my life. Flinging yourself in the air 20 feet is not a normal thought for most human beings. It is not even considered by some human beings, but it is the only thought of a select portion of human beings. These crazy humans are called pole vaulters. They use fiberglass poles ranging from 8 to 17 feet to jump over bars to entertain themselves. They do not care about the risk that they are putting themselves into. The University of Georgia, just like hundreds of other colleges, is home for some of these select human beings. Pole vaulting is known to go back to 2500 BC. Egyptian friezes depict of warriors vaulting over enemy walls using tree limbs. Whenever modern Olympics were reinstated in 1896, pole vaulting was included. The first poles used in the Olympics were made of bamboo and steel, until the 1950s when fiberglass poles began to be made. As the sport evolved, so did the pits, from sand pits to sawdust pits, then to small gymnastic mats, and now to today's configured matting system with 2 layers. As vaulters jumped higher, the standards were forced to greater heights, resulting in them evolving from wooden rods to today's metal beams. According to the magazine USA Today, pole vaulting is the 3rd hardest thing to do in sports, and has achieved that spot by no mistake. Injuries in pole vaulting range from minor sprains to potentially fatal head injuries. The thrill and adrenaline achieved from the event, along with a pole vaulter's stubbornness, buries those thoughts deep inside and does not let them surface very often. Pole vaulting is a very demanding sport physically and mentally. It constantly puts stress on the vaulter's mind and body. All-around athletic ability is required along with mental toughness. Without either of these, successful vaulting is rarely accomplished. Whenever a vaulter messes up in the middle of the vault, the pole is unforgiving and the vaulter is forced to hold on for dear life. Pole vaulters are not just normal athletes. They are known to be some of the most athletic athletes in all sports. The skills they must have require speed, strength, and body control. Pole vaulters must transfer the kinetic energy they achieve from running into the pole in the form of elastic potential energy. Instead of the pole taking that energy and using it to bounce the vaulter back, the vaulter quickly swings his body upside down so the pole will transfer the elastic potential energy it has obtained to the vaulter in the form of gravitational potential energy to shoot him up. At the top of the vault, the vaulter must bend his body in order to obtain the most height while passing over the bar. Lewis Bloomfield, physics professor at the University of Virginia and author of How Things Work, states that it's a great maneuver which takes enormous skill, but people who have really good control of their shape can do seemingly impossible things. Pole vaulting may be included in the sport of track and field, but very few vaulters think it belongs there. Pole vaulters seem to be a different breed, just like the sport itself. When at track meets, vaulters may socialize with other competitors during competition because you are forced to wait for your next turn. Vaulters have traditions that are not quite like other athletes. It is mainly brunt work for the freshmen and it is not fun. At every practice, the pits have to be uncovered, equipment has to be dragged out, and poles have to be ready. At the end of every practice, everything must be exactly like you found it before practice, and if it isn't, it's extra running for the freshmen. Teams may alter traditions and add funny extras into the mix. Here at UGA, freshman vaulters have to participate in a cold day. On one of the hottest days of fall, an early text is received by an upperclassman saying, "Cold day, no excuses." Cold day is when a freshman has to dress up in sweatpants, thick jackets, and a beanies or earmuffs, and they have to walk around campus all day sweating uncontrollably. They also have to carry a cup of hot chocolate and are not allowed to tell anyone why they are wearing the ridiculous outfit. If they are asked, they must simply respond, "It was cold this morning." This is just one of the few hazing traditions that freshman vaulters must go through. These traditions bring the team closer while offering a few good laughs. Even though pole vaulting is an individual sport, your teammates play a critical role in your success. They are the ones that push you when you thought you couldn't be pushed. They experience the same things you do and understand what you are going through and the difficulty that the sport brings mentally. Practicing every day, going through exhausting workouts, and traveling to collegiate meets across the nation brings pole vaulting groups together as a family. Because you practice with them every day, you also go through the stress of school and life with them. You end up hanging out with them on the weekends because they are the only group that you are really close to because your schedule is so tight. So what makes pole vaulters so special? Besides the fact that they are slinging themselves into the air with no guarantee to where they are going to land for a sport, I believe there is one aspect that separates pole vaulters from the rest of other athletes. This aspect is to be able to perform under the pressure of fear. Every vaulter faces it whether they will admit it or not, but it is the ones that can cope with it when it rises that succeed not only in vaulting, but in life.